It was 10:15 in the morning when my phone rang. I didn't need to look at the caller ID to know who it was. I certainly didn't need to guess the mood on the other end. The background noise told me everything. The grinding sound of heavy machinery screeching to a halt, and the frantic shouting of men. "Mom," Mark's voice was so loud, I had to pull the phone away. "Mom, what is going on?" "The foreman just told his crew to pack up. He says the check bounced. They're taking the lumber back." I took a sip of my Earl Grey tea, looking out at the manicured golf course from the balcony. "I know, Mark," I said, my voice steady. "I canceled it." "You?" "What?" The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the sound of a diesel engine idling. "Mom, are you insane? The roof is open. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. If they leave now, the whole framing will be ruined." "I suppose you should have thought of that," I replied, feeling a cold, hard satisfaction settle in my chest. "Before you and Chloe decided my future bedroom would make a better closet." There was a pause. A long, terrified pause. "You heard that?" he whispered. "I heard everything, Mark. And now, you're going to hear me. To understand why I left my only son and his wife, with an unfinished house and a looming thunderstorm. You have to understand the deal. I am Joyce. I'm 66 years old, a retired school principal. For 40 years, I lived in a beautiful Victorian home. But maintaining a 4-bedroom house alone was becoming too much. 6 months ago, Mark and Chloe came to me with a solution. They had found a fixer-upper. A large property with good bones. "Sell your house, Mom," Mark had urged, his eyes shining with excitement. "Use the equity to pay for the renovation on our place. We'll build a fully independent in-law suite on the ground floor. Private entrance, kitchenette, everything. You'll be close to us and the baby. You'll have your own space. And we'll take care of you forever." It sounded like a dream. I would be a live-in grandmother, surrounded by family. Safe and secure. I sold my Victorian for a handsome profit. $450,000, clear after fees. I put $300,000 of that directly into a joint construction account with Mark. The deal was simple. I fund the build, they provide the land and the care. For 3 months, everything seemed wonderful. We pored over blueprints. I picked out the tiles for my bathroom. I chose a soft sage green for my walls. I felt needed. I felt loved. But yesterday, I decided to surprise them. The framing was almost done. I had baked a batch of oatmeal cookies. I drove over to the site around noon. The noise of saws and hammers usually drowned everything out. But it was lunchtime. And the site was quiet. I walked up the plywood ramp, to the front porch. I was about to call out when I heard voices drifting through the open framing. "The master bath is huge," Chloe was saying. "But the closet is barely a walk-in." "Just be patient," Mark's voice replied. He sounded dismissive, amused. "Look," the architect said, "the walls downstairs in the in-law suite aren't load-bearing." "That's the key." I froze. My hand, holding the tin of cookies, hovered over the doorframe. "So?" Chloe asked. "So," Mark laughed. A sound that chilled me to the bone. "Mom's 66. She's not going to be around forever. And honestly, with her hips, one bad fall, and she's in a nursing home. I give it a year, maybe 2 tops, before she needs care we can't provide. You promise?" Chloe's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because I really don't want to live with your mother. She's exhausting." "I promise," Mark said. "Once she's out, either in a home, or we knock down those walls. We turn her living room into a home gym. And her bedroom extends our closet. It's a long-term play, Chloe. She's paying for the renovation that doubles our value. We just have to endure her for a little while." "God, you're smart," Chloe giggled. "That old hag is literally paying to build us a mansion. One she won't even get to live in. She's just a wallet with a pulse," at this point, Mark joked. "A wallet that's paying for your marble countertops." I stood there for a long time. The tin of cookies felt heavy in my hand, like a lead weight. My heart was hammering against my ribs. Not with panic, but with a sudden, violent clarity. They weren't building me a home. They were building a waiting room for my death. I looked at the cookies, made with organic raisins, because Mark liked them. I walked over to the dumpster in the driveway and dropped the tin inside. It landed with a hollow clang. Then I got in my car and drove straight to the bank. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I had spent 30 years as a high school principal. I knew how to handle delinquents. You don't argue with them. You simply remove their privileges. I walked into the branch manager's office. "I need to make a change to the joint account," I told him. "Of course, Joyce. What do you need?" "I need to withdraw the remaining balance." "All of it?" Mr. Henderson blinked. "That's nearly $120,000, Joyce. And there's a scheduled draw for the roofing contractor tomorrow for $25,000. If you drain the account, that check will bounce." "I know," I said, smoothing my skirt. "Cancel the authorization for the check and close the account. Issue me a cashier's check for the balance." "Is everything all right?" he asked, concerned. "Everything is finally clear," I replied. I took the check. I drove back to my rental condo. I turned off my phone. And I slept better than I had in years. Which brings us back to this morning. Mom, Mark stammered on the phone, his voice shaking. You misunderstood. We were joking. It was just dark humor. You know how stressed we are with the build. Dark humor, I repeated dryly. Is that what you call planning to put me in a home? So you can have a home gym? Is that what you call referring to your mother as a wallet? I didn't mean it. He screamed. Mom, please. The contractor is leaving. If the roof isn't on by tomorrow, the rain will ruin the subfloors. It's a $40,000 mistake. You have to wire the money back. I don't have to do anything, Mark. That's the beauty of being a wallet. I can close whenever I want. You signed a contract. He shouted. We have an agreement. You agreed to pay for the build. I agreed to pay for a home, I corrected him. Not a temporary storage unit for an old hag. You broke the good faith of that agreement. When you planned my eviction before I even moved in. I'll sue you. He threatened. The desperation was ugly in his voice. I swear to God, Mom, I'll sue you for breach. Go ahead, I said calmly. I still have the recording on my dashcam, Mark. I parked right in front of the house. The windows were open. The microphone picked up your entire conversation about defrauding me. I wonder what a judge would think of that. It was a bluff. My dashcam doesn't record audio from 50 feet away. But Mark didn't know that. The silence on the line was deafening. Mom, he sobbed, the anger collapsing into panic. Please. We don't have the money. We can't get a loan with Chloe not working. If you stop now, we lose everything. The house, the land. Everything. You should have thought of that, I said, and I hung up. 30 minutes later, my phone blew up. Chloe called. Then, Chloe's mother. Then my sister, who had received a hysterical call. Mark said I had gone senile and was destroying their lives for no reason. I ignored them all. I sat on my balcony. I watched the gardeners mowing the lawn of the golf course. It was peaceful. Around noon, a battered pickup truck screeched into the parking lot. I watched from the second floor as Mark and Chloe jumped out. Chloe was red-faced, storming toward the building entrance. I buzzed them in. I wasn't afraid. I wanted to see them face to face. When I opened the door, Chloe didn't even say hello. How could you? She shrieked, pushing past me into the living room. You selfish, vindictive, old woman. Do you have any idea what you've done? Mark followed her, looking pale and sweaty. Mom, the crew is gone. They took the materials. The lumber yard is coming for the trusses this afternoon. If we don't pay. Hello, to you too, I said, sitting down in my armchair. Fix this. Chloe demanded, pointing a finger in my face. Right now. Transfer the money back. We are having a baby. You are putting your grandchild on the street. My grandchild, I said, softly. Who you planned to raise in a house built on my money, while I rotted away in a nursing home? We were never going to do that. Chloe lied, her eyes wide and innocent. Mark just talks big. We love you. We want you there. Chloe, I said, my voice sharp. I heard you. I heard you call me an old hag. I heard you planning the closet expansion. Don't insult my intelligence on top of my dignity. Chloe's face twisted. The mask fell. Fine. So we vented. Who cares? You're old, Joyce. What do you need a suite like that for anyway? You are going to decline. It's just a fact. Why shouldn't we plan for the future? Because that future was being paid for by my past, I snapped. My hard work. My sacrifice. Mark stepped forward. Mom, look. We're sorry. Okay? We're sorry. But you can't leave us like this. The house is unlivable. We sold our apartment. We have nowhere to go. That is a problem, I agreed. But it's not my problem. Where is the money? Mark asked, looking around the room. As if I had stuffed it under the cushions. You still have it, right? The 120,000? I do, I said. Well, I did. What do you mean, did? Mark's voice cracked. I reached into my purse and pulled out a glossy brochure. I had picked it up this morning. From the real estate office down the street. I tossed it onto the coffee table. It was for the Palms, a luxury, active living resort. The cover showed happy seniors drinking margaritas by a pool. I just put a down payment on a villa. Ocean view. Housekeeping included. And the best part? No renovations needed. Mark stared at the brochure. You bought a condo? I bought a life, Mark. A life where I don't have to worry about being an inconvenience. A life where my walls won't be knocked down the minute I get the flu. You spent our money? Chloe screamed. That was our money. It was never your money. I stood up, drawing myself up to my full height. It was my equity. And I just invested it in the only person who actually cares about my future. Me. I hate you, Chloe spat, tears streaming down her face. I hope you die alone. I might, I said, calmly. But at least, I won't be dying in your closet. I asked them to leave. They refused. I picked up the phone and dialed the police. I have 2 intruders in my apartment, I said loudly. They are becoming aggressive. Mark looked at me with shock and horror. He had never seen me like this. He had only known the mother who baked cookies and signed checks. He didn't recognize the woman who was willing to burn the bridge while he was still standing on it. Come on, Chloe, he muttered, grabbing her arm. Let's go. They left. That night, it rained. A massive, torrential, summer storm. I sat in my dry, comfortable rental, sipping tea, listening to the thunder. I imagined the water pouring into the open roof of the house on Elm Street. I imagined the subfloors warping. I imagined the drywall in the basement soaking up water like a sponge, turning black with mold. I felt a pang of sadness. Not for them, but for the house. It could have been beautiful. The next few weeks were a barrage of legal threats. Mark hired a cheap lawyer who sent a demand letter claiming promissory estoppel. My lawyer, a shark named Eleanor, whom I had played bridge with for years, laughed it off. They have no case, Joyce, she told me. The contract stated you would fund the build in exchange for a lifetime lease. By conspiring to evict you, they acted in bad faith. Plus, without the finished house, the lease is void. They're swimming upstream without a paddle. Mark and Chloe couldn't get a traditional loan. The bank wouldn't lend on a house with water damage. They ended up having to take a hard money loan from a predatory lender at 12% just to get the roof on. They had to cut costs everywhere. The marble countertops Chloe wanted replaced with cheap laminate. The floors, vinyl peel and stick. The suite, they had to leave it unfinished. Just bare studs and concrete because they ran out of cash. The baby was born 3 months later. I sent a card and a savings bond. I didn't visit. I wasn't invited, and frankly, I didn't want to go. 6 months after that, I moved into the Palms. My life now is busy. I take water aerobics on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I joined a book club. I met a charming, retired engineer named David, who knows how to open doors and actually listens when I speak. I hear things through the grapevine. My sister tells me that Mark and Chloe are miserable. The high interest payments on the house are drowning them. Mark took a second job delivering pizzas at night. Chloe had to go back to work early, putting the baby in daycare. They live in the house, but they hate it. It's a symbol of their failure. And the unfinished suite sits there. A dark, empty cavern, on the ground floor. Collecting dust. Last Christmas, Mark called me. Mom, he said. He sounded tired. Older. Can we start over? I looked around my living room. David was in the kitchen, making mulled wine. The tree was lit. I felt safe. I felt respected. I don't think so, Mark, I said, gently. Why not? He asked, his voice breaking. We're family. We were family, I corrected him. But you tried to turn me into a transaction. And the thing about business, Mark, is that once a partner tries to defraud you, you don't sign a new contract with them. I miss you, he whispered. I miss the son I thought I had, I replied. But he didn't exist, did he? He was just a character you played. Until the check cleared. I hung up. I walked into the kitchen. David handed me a glass of wine. Who was that? He asked. Wrong number, I smiled. And for the first time, I truly believed it. I had dialed the wrong number for years. Now, finally, I had hung up. And the silence was beautiful.